This is the strongest, most aggressive, and offensively most powerful build in Destiny 2 for your Titans. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down this crazy Solar Titan build that you can use in Lightfall. You can use this to beat the raid. I'm going to break down everything that I'm utilizing in this to absolutely run through this activity 30 power under. Keep that in mind. I am 30 power under this activity. In the raid, you will be minus 20 power. So I am even lower now than I will be in the raid, and you'll see just how easily I run through all these champs. I'm going to break down this entire build and give you a dim link, but first, enjoy the gameplay because you're about to see some crazy stuff happen. It stunned him preemptively there. It's literally stunning him from the ignitions. The enemy is there. That's so crazy. After my radiant timer rock down. Otherwise I can't stun the champ. You're a silence and squall on me. Roaring Flames timer is reset. Times 3. I don't know if... Good. Oh, he's got a silence and squall on there. That's a wrap, just like that. In 2 minutes on the dot. Let's go. Yes, that was the run right there. We're 1800 in an 1830 activity. Now I'm going to explain why this build is so unbelievably strong. It probably has the strongest offensive utility of any Titan build currently in Destiny 2. Strand is really fun for suspending targets, but Sunbreaker is fun for running through all of the ads and any enemy in your way. I'm going to explain everything that I use and why I use it. First, we have Burning Maul, which has a little bit lower cooldown than Hammer of Soul. However, I will say that in certain situations, Hammer of Soul is the better super option. So really, you can go either way. Just pick whichever one you like. It doesn't matter too much because the majority of our action is, as you can see, throwing baby hammers. I chose Rally Barricade because it has a little bit faster cooldown. We will be putting our wall down from time to time so we can get our grenades back a little bit faster. You can choose Towering Barricade. This is often more advantageous for blocking incoming traffic and damage coming to you. So go either way, pick whichever one you want. I would honestly choose Towering Barricade if I was doing the day one raid. Because this was a lost sector, I wasn't really too threatened by the enemies, so I chose to go with Rally Barricade. Catapult Lift, of course, throwing hammer over the shoulder charge, and Firebolt Grenades because you can get double of them due to the artifact mods. We'll go over those in just a moment. Roaring Flames, and what I was doing was proccing this by getting those ability kills. Now you can get this by both your baby hammer kills and by your grenade kills, so you can keep the uptime for Roaring Flames a lot higher than normal because you have double firebolts and they're doing tons of damage and stuff and ignitions and everything else. And then we have Soul Invictus. This is going to make all those sunspots, which gives me such crazy survivability. Anytime I'm in a tough situation, throw the baby hammer, make a sunspot, and then all of a sudden you'll see huge chunks of health coming to me. Then we'll talk about Ember of Torches. I chose this as the fragment because I want to get Radiant. This does help stun certain champions, but however, there weren't any barrier champions in this activity, so I didn't actually need to use this. And also it does buff your weapon damage, and I didn't really use my weapon that much for this particular activity. But again, I'm making a lot of my builds right now focused on the new and upcoming raid. And in that raid, I'll definitely want to give myself Radiant and all of my teammates from all of those hammer bonks just constantly a damage buff to all of their weapons. This is an excellent choice. Even though this doesn't really synergize with what I was showing in this gameplay, this still is one of the best fragments overall to use, and one that I use on almost every solar class in PvE. Next, we'll talk about Ember of Ashes. You apply more Scorch stacks to targets. This is huge for those Firebolt Grenades. By throwing those Firebolt Grenades, you throw one, you throw two, and you're able to cause those ignitions, which stun the unstoppable champion, as you saw in that gameplay, but also just blow up all those Thrall, which is really nice. So you'll definitely want to have this on. And next up, you'll have your solar ignitions have increased area of effect. So when you do cause an ignition, it's just an absolutely massive blast radius. Feels like a Warmind cell, like absolutely huge. So definitely those work and synergize really well with the Firebolt build that we're throwing, along with the baby hammers, of course. Next up, we have Ember of Combustion, which is final blows with your solar super, cause targets to ignite and creates a fire sprite. You'll be using this whenever you do pop your super. This is a nice addition to your subclass kit overall, because you will have to pop your super from time to time. And although this super is weaker than some of the other Titan supers, it can be very strong, especially with this fragment. Next, I'll be talking about all the different mods and the exotic armor I'm using. First up, on the helmet, we have double ashes to assets. So that way, all those firebolt grenades that we're throwing will build up my super energy. And then we also have hands-on. Obviously, all those baby hammer kills will also build up that super energy. This is really nice for getting those supers back. And the exotic armor piece of choice will, of course, be Syntheseps. This will buff the damage that I do from throwing those baby hammers. And we'll be using the mod Heavy-Handed, which is your powered melee final blows create an orb of power. I'll be utilizing those orbs from those baby hammers in a variety of different ways. We will have grenade kickstart on, so that way every time I throw one of those firebolts, I'm refunded a good amount of energy based on how many different armor charge stacks I have, and we'll be trying to get those armor charge stacks really high for a reason. And next up, I have impact deduction, which is causing damage with a melee attack, reduces your grenade cooldown. You can see why this would be so good, because I'm throwing so many baby hammers, I basically can just get my grenades back all the time. And then moving on to the chest piece, you can use whatever mods suit the activity best. I chose melee damage resistance and double solar resistance for that particular activity. You can choose whatever you like. On the boots, we have stacks on stacks, innervation, and recuperation. Recuperation works perfectly for some health regeneration, especially as I'm throwing those baby hammers close to enemies. They drop an orb, I get a chunk of health. Innervation is really good because when I pick up those orbs as well, I'll get those grenades back even faster, because honestly, getting your grenades back really fast is the goal of this build. You have hammers forever, right? As long as you don't lose your baby hammer, you have it forever. And so you don't need any sort of melee energy for this build. You just want to get your grenades back as fast as possible. Also, your Titan Wall doesn't really do you a whole lot in this build. So it's pretty much just all get your grenades back as fast as possible, because you have double fire bolts that are going to cause massive ignitions. And then stacks on stacks is really good, because with this, you can actually get your armor charged up to 4. And when you get your armor charged up to 4, then you'll be able to throw your grenade and get a bigger refund from grenade kickstart. Then on to the last piece, we'll be talking about the class item. We have on here double bomber, because we want to reduce our grenade cooldown like we talked about before by putting our Titan Wall down. And then we want to have distribution, just because didn't really need to put on triple bomber, but definitely get your grenades back as fast as possible is the name of the game for this. And throw baby hammers endlessly. Don't stop. You can't play this play style. You can't play this build slow. You have to have a fast, aggressive pace. You have to be in the enemy's faces. You have to have biotic instants procced all the time. You have to be throwing those baby hammers, bonking everything in front of you. It's a very aggressive, very fun play style, and it's actually only dangerous if you play it slow at all. You have to just continuously play as aggressive as you possibly can, understand how the kit works, and in doing so, you'll be able to stay alive a lot more often than you realize. You really don't need something like Lorelei Helmet. This is all the survivability you need and all the offensive utility you need to run through any mobs of ads. As far as stat distribution goes, of course, 100 resilience is going to be the most important. Second most important is going to be 100 discipline. The thing you need the absolute least would be mobility and strength. You don't need any strength, because obviously you're just picking up the baby hammer over and over again. Some intellect would be nice, and some recovery can be nice from time to time, but neither of those are really that important. As long as you get 100 resilience and 100 discipline, you are good to go. Looking into our artifact, obviously everything is unlocked now because we're in Lightfall. Pretty much the only things that we're using was Flare Up and Rain of Firebolts. Make sure you have both of those on. And then I do have Solar Surge on here, but it wasn't really applying to this build much. And then authorized mods for solar, so that way it could save me, so I could slot a few more mods on my armor. And that's a wrap for this video. Let me know your thoughts about this Solar Titan build down in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. Smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Later.